waiting for my words, seen but never buried underground. But I'll keep coming.
So, there's actually thunder and lightning outside my window. I really probably shouldn't be by the computer at all. We're gonna read. We're gonna sit down and we're gonna read. Good times. Iron Hill, headed for the tar belt. Once you pass that, you'll be in Edgenall City at last. Only Emily and the Vanguard haven't made it that far. Lucky for you, we're going to construct a backup. Director's order, got a heart of gold. Guess it's yours truly. It's for the good of America, right? Everybody got to do their bit. Yeah. Chiral Network connects people, past and present. I'm sure you have a... How are you, Sam? Good health. I should mention that I managed to unearth small data that... Sure you have a vivid recollection of your many experiences in the scene, but it turns out that the person wandering around it that you may have identified yourself may not be you at all. Jesus Christ, why are people like that? But someone else entirely. You see, while everyone's beach belongs to them and them alone, the seam is an altogether different beast. Read about people who had near-death experiences that involved the seam. When they came across this someone else there, they found themselves somehow saved by them in the real world. They'd even received care packages and the like in some instances. Is that... Fucking goddamn it! I don't know how to turn off those pop-ups. I wish I did. So that is the thing that makes those guys, you know, when you're fighting a BT and they come up. Dear Sam, thanks to you, the chiral contamination is all cleared up. Nasty symptoms, though, dizziness, headaches, insomnia. Told Hartman about it. He likened it to the vision, so blah 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 blah. Thank you again for not only delivering. Nothing important. Picked a name, but the doc gave me great advice. They're going to name him Sam. BTs that aren't affected by your blood. How are things? Have you hit the coast yet? Oh, those are... Yeah, tell me about that. Report that suggests there are some BTs out there that aren't affected by your blood. The BT in question glowed bright red, apparently, and the poor porter who ran into it barely lived to tell the tale. He'd brought plenty of hematic grenades with him, but they didn't seem to do the trick. As you can imagine, this is a seriously concerning development. I mean, your blood was the only weapon against those things. Yeah, that is scary. Snapshot of ages past. Recall the handprint you brought me? Well, I hope you're sitting down, because when I analyzed it, I discovered that it was 65 million years old. Late Cretaceous period, when the dinosaurs became extinct. That connects with the Hartman idea, I guess. The handprint itself had been added much later, but that seems not to be the case. Could someone have traveled through time via the beach in order to leave it? If not, how could it possibly have been made? I plan to look into the matter further, and I will get in touch when I learn more. My immediate thought is that if things had umbilical cords because of the beach during early extinction events, And Hartman is speculating that, oh, maybe we have umbilical cords because those things, the beach things, have umbilical cords. Then maybe the beach things are even more human-like in their true nature than we could imagine. I don't know. Something like that. BT country, mark the ship. Fucking bonus stuff. Took the bastards out. Took care of the terrorists in this area. How the hell did you manage that? Arasaka Corporation. That's a cyberpunk thing. I remember that. From Cyberpunk 2013. Use the data to whip you up a new toy, by the way. Dubbed it the Silver Hand, in honor of old Johnny. So you are not Johnny then. Okay. Upgrade your compass. You can now use it to short circuit trucks. Okay, fine. Now, let's get rid of some tooltips. Memory chips. Let's see what we got. Unidentified data 3. Okay. It's locked. Okay. Maybe we should do it like that. Okay, Neanderthals are not extinct. Both Neanderthals and Homo sapiens are believed to share a common ancestor in the form of Homo heidelbergensis, or however you say that. But there are clear differences between the two. Neanderthals were brutish and brawny, well equipped to hunt larger animals and survive in colder climates, whereas Homo sapiens were slender-limbed and only capable of hunting smaller prey. But as the millennia passed, Homo sapiens learned to create tools and hunt in packs. The Neanderthals, who actually had larger brains than the Homo sapiens, also fashioned tools of their own, but these were crude in comparison and developed little over 200,000 years. Perhaps because these simple-minded beings favored small family units so that even if a breakthrough occurred, it was unlikely to be shared with others. This isolation, more than any other factor, seems to have led to their decline. Homo sapiens, meanwhile, conceived religion with which large numbers of individuals could be bound together in service to a common cause. Strength in numbers also made their communities more resistant to famine and other calamities. In other words, Homo sapiens grew stronger through interpersonal connections, by creating what came to be called society, the thing in which we live. If we persist in our divided state, we risk losing this hard-won unity and dooming ourselves to the Neanderthals' fate. We dwindle and die, apart and alone. But history holds another intriguing lesson. Homo sapiens did not disdain Neanderthals. The two species even intermingled on occasion. Our DNA retains vestiges of our ancient cousins even now. So you see, while a species itself may disappear, its genetic legacy may yet endure. You ever read, what's that book called in English? People of the Cave Bear? Something like that? A book series about Homo sapiens, or perhaps Cro-Magnon, which I'm not sure if those are considered Homo sapiens or not, who is brought up by Neanderthals, not fitting in, and later finds her own people. And there's also a part about her having a child with a Neanderthal, non-consensually, but you know how things go in fucking Stone Ages. I remember enjoying the books, but also I don't know, they were kind of long-winded in a way, I guess, and spent a little too much time on sex scenes for my liking, but whatever. Hartman's theory of evolution. The evolution of life on Earth could be described as the evolution of consciousness. When When the first vertebrates clambered out of the oceans and onto the land, their consciousness expanded to process the new realm that lay before them. But their development did not end there. Their eyes moved from their flanks to their fronts, that they might comprehend the depth of the world. Mammals formed groups, increasing their chances of survival. Eventually they came together in communities, and then larger societies. In order to preserve and maintain these structures, humans developed a perception of time. And in order for societies to outlast the lifespan of the individual, we conceived of an afterlife, and a future beyond ourselves. Alas, the Death Stranding threatens to undo all our progress. Consider the chiral network, which incorporates the beach, where time does not exist. Or consider timefall, which rapidly accelerates the degradation of that which it comes in contact with. How can our sense of time, honed over millions of years, remain intact when we must cope with such irrational phenomena? Yet that is but the tip of the proverbial iceberg. We are growing apart, retreating into isolation, gradually losing our place within society. I would even go so far as to say our conceptions of reality are under threat. How could they not be, when our very eyes deny the invisible BT that stands before us? The Stranding has warped our consciousness, in every sense. If the evolution of life on Earth is indeed akin to the evolution of consciousness, then what is happening now is undeniably a regression, is it not? There is one caveat, though. Some of us are now far more aware of death than we ever were. That is what Dooms has given us. For me, therefore, Dooms is not merely a biological change. I prefer to think of it as the means by which I have achieved a new form of consciousness. Furthermore, I hope and believe that this new awareness of the other side is humanity's trump card as we seek to defeat the Death Stranding. This makes me think of that one tweet I saw. It was quite a while ago, but about this game and how in 2019 it was like Kojima comes out with a game that depicts people living in isolation, growing apart, and everyone's like, yeah, okay, Kojima, you silly boy. And then everything happens. Oh no, he did it again. He predicted the future. Umbilical cords in Devonian Era Fossils. An article from an old scientific journal was recently brought to my attention. It predates the Death Stranding and concerns the discovery of a 380 million year old fossil, one from the Devonian era, to give the period its proper name. It was a fossil of a fish, and in its womb was a child. A fish with a womb? A child connected to his mother by an umbilical cord, no less. The species? Materpicius attenboroughi. That sounds like it's named after David Attenborough. Attenborough is a placoderm and an extinct class of armored marine creatures that used to live in the seas the world over. Unfortunately, most were wiped out during the Devonian era, right around the time of the second of the Big Five, in fact. As you may be aware, one of the key foci of my research is the link between creatures with umbilical cords and mass extinctions. Once this area is connected to the chiral network, it is my hope that we will be able to piece together more data that will help us learn more about the link between umbilical cords and the Death Stranding. That was not all, though. Most fish don't have wombs, right? They lay eggs. Interview with the Geologists. I remember it was just before I joined the expedition when I found those documents in Bridges HQ. Research papers that predated the Death Stranding. People used to believe that dinosaurs had gone extinct at the end of the Cretaceous period, 65 million years ago. But when this fellow investigated various locations where late Cretaceous dino fossils had been found, he came to the startling conclusion that there was hardly any evidence anywhere on Earth that supported the theory that dinosaurs had survived until the end of the Cretaceous. In other words, almost all of them had been wiped out long before that. The only place where there were fossils that did not support the traditional theory was here, in North America, which suggested that this was the last part of Earth to have been inhabited by dinosaurs. Not everyone agreed with this analysis at the time, but let's say he had it right. That would mean that there is evidence of a mass extinction hidden here, right beneath our feet, evidence which could prove invaluable in understanding the one on the horizon. Did the dinosaurs who happened to live here just get lucky? Or is there something special about this place that allowed them to survive? I'd love to get to the bottom of it, but I'm not sure I have what it takes. I'm not like Hartman. I don't have dooms or any other unique traits. Still, I want to make myself useful. I want to research the Stranding and help uncover the truth behind it. That's why I joined the expedition team, after all. So, American dinosaurs, the real survivors. Interview with a paleontologist. In the period since the very first forms of life arose here on Earth, the planet has witnessed a number of mass extinctions. As you're no doubt aware, the most significant of these are known as the Big Five. The first marked the end of the Ordovician period, while the next, at the end of the Devonian period, wiped out almost all marine life. But the third of these extinctions, at the end of the Permian period, around 250 million years ago, was even worse. 96% of all marine organisms and 70% of land organisms died as a result. The fourth extinction finished off most large reptiles, though the dinosaurs managed to hold on until the fifth came along at the end of the Cretaceous period, 65 million years ago. We humans are evolved from the small mammals which managed to survive that particular catastrophe. Each of these 5 extinctions resulted from enormous changes to the natural environment. Species which were unable to adapt to these changes perished, while those which were ideally suited to evolve and thrive did just that. Evidence from records which predate the Death Stranding indicate that many scholars believe that a sixth mass extinction was on its way, or that it may have already begun. There was something of a consensus regarding its cause as well: humanity's destruction of the environment. This led them to sound the alarm, warning the world of what was at stake. At the time, the greatest minds of the era believed that if the ecosystem could be preserved, and if humanity could learn to live in harmony with nature, then a future could be secured for all the world's species, humans included. But that was then, and this is now. If the phenomenon we are currently experiencing is indeed the sixth extinction, then it must be acknowledged that humanity is its main target. Is this divine punishment for our misdeeds? If so, then I suppose there is little that can be done. Perhaps there is no way forward for humanity now. Nevertheless, I refuse to give up. I will endeavor to find hope in our predicament. Yeah. There are people today talking about that we may be in an extinction period, and that it may be connected to environmental change. I'm not sure everyone agrees, though. And I'm definitely sure that not everyone agrees on how much of climate change is because of us. Oh well. The Everdevo Biologist. I was born after the Death Stranding, so my conception of what the world once was is derived entirely from documents, photographs, and video. We didn't used to have timefall for one, just regular rain. No chiral clouds, only the traditional masses of suspended moisture, and one certainly didn't have to worry about tar bubbling up from underground, in most locales. Humans could travel anywhere, even into space, and we were blissfully unaware of the beach's existence. Suffice it to say, there is no doubt that this is a period of sweeping change that will have lasting repercussions for all life on Earth. Given that, dooms may simply be humanity's way of trying to adapt and survive. That's wrong. A beach exists within the consciousness of every individual. But these environmental changes, they affect all life on a genetic level, do they not? That is why I thought to investigate them, and the medium through which I chose to do so is the tar, which has become so ubiquitous. But you're not interested in that, I am sure. Well, a little bit, maybe, I don't know. There's a very real possibility that we have already failed to adapt to the sixth extinction, that we are but another evolutionary dead end, soon to be left behind. If that is the case, then it could be reasoned that the ones afflicted with dooms, and therefore blessed with an enhanced perception of the beach, are our successors, who will survive and supplant us. I suppose that would be a shame, but it doesn't trouble me all that much. My research will survive me as well, and the doom sufferers can pick up from where I left off. They will carry on my genetic lineage too, for that matter. No, what worries me is that not even dooms will provide sufficient to endure this extinction. If that is the case, then humanity is doomed. It's certainly a possibility we have to acknowledge. But more than that, one question looms above all. Why? Why now? Why like this? That's what I want to know more than anything. Somehow I doubt the dinosaurs and all the other species that came and went ever considered that question. Worrying over the reasons for this and that is a uniquely human condition, I suppose. Yet this idle curiosity may be the key to understanding and overcoming the stranding. Yeah, is it? I mean, it's kind of hard to know if an animal is wondering why things happen. Oh well. Tar bubbles up from the beach. I'd heard this area, and this is Aaron Hill. I'd heard this area was pretty inhospitable before I got here. Got your fair share of mountains, obviously, and on top of that were all these rumors about a secret terrorist base or something. So I figured I was in for a bad time. But when me and the team got here, yeah, it was way worse than we thought. Felt like we could get jumped any second, you know. Tell you what though, I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw all the tar out west. I wonder how the hell Emily and her team made it through. But someone said it wasn't nearly as bad when they made the trip. I was sent to take a closer look, and man, it was something else. And it hadn't been that long either. Hard to imagine all that bubbled up damn near overnight. Honestly, I felt like I was standing at the edge of the world. We don't know much about the tar, except that it wasn't around before the stranding, same as timefall and Carelium. There's some speculation that it might be some byproduct of the beach, and that if you could somehow retrace the flow, you'd end up there. But that's all theoretical stuff. Right now, we've got a practical problem to deal with. One of the chiral relays we built is at risk of going under any moment. We don't have the manpower to relocate it yet, but we should once the second expedition shows up. Whether we can wait that long is another question though. Maybe you could tell them to get their asses in gear, if you get the chance. And we know how that went. We do have more interviews. Let's see. A prepper interview, the doctor. No, but he's talking about the thing we're off to do now. So, doctor, I know what you're thinking. Why is this prepper claiming to be a doctor? Don't worry, you're not the first. Rest assured that I really am a doctor. I even have a medical license, though the governing body that issued it to me is long gone. So I won't be offended if that counts for little. But license or no, people still need doctors. Preppers get sick too, you know. That's not so hard for you to get your head around, is it? Most folks haul themselves to a city hospital when there's something wrong. But out in the boonies, that's not really an option. But we can't just leave those people to die. You know full well what would follow. And so I do what I can to help. Around here, I'm the only one people can rely on to keep them alive. Whenever I'm needed, I try to find someone to transport me to a patient's residence, but that's hardly the most efficient approach, and it doesn't endear me to the porters either. I've heard that Bridges is trying to bring everyone into their chiral network, and if it's as good as I've heard, it would be a real game changer. I could perform all sorts of diagnoses and even some treatments without having to leave my shelter. I hope you manage to extend it here soon. There's a lot of people out there counting on us both. And that's it. You know, we've been reading for like 25 minutes almost, so I'm going to round this episode off. And next time we pick up, oh boy, we're gonna have to try and make that trip. It's gonna be quite challenging, I believe. But that's then. So, have a good one till next time. Actually, what the fuck is this? Is it trying to tell me, I have new colors. Amazing. So, like I said, next time we go west.
Waiting for my world, seem but never. Buried underground, but I'll keep coming.